Well, hello and welcome to another episode of What in the World, a Hungry for Life podcast. And as you know, we typically release these every other Monday, but today we have a bonus episode for you. We recently had our Director of International Operations head down to Haiti to help with relief efforts after the earthquake on August 14th. He was able to connect with most of our field partners down there and work directly beside Mark Stockland from Haiti Bible Mission, and also got to see firsthand some of UCI's med school graduates and current students putting their skills to work. So in this episode, you will hear Jason telling stories of his experiences in Haiti last week. And let me tell you, there are some pretty cool stories in here about God's goodness. So without further ado,
It was pretty awesome to be working alongside some pretty good partners. UCI being able to respond the day of the earthquake, the next day sending their Haitian medical team from the university. It was, like I said, it was humbling seeing Haitians helping Haitians. We're all about sending teams and sending foreigners down, and where that's appropriate, it's awesome. But there's something to be said about working alongside. I was in the Jeremy Hospital working alongside a team of 9 Haitian doctors, and they were awesome. They've seen almost 1,000 patients in the week that they were there. Yeah, landing in Port-au-Prince felt weird. It's been almost 2.5 years since I've been to Haiti. It's been a long stretch of not going. I was wondering whether I'd still speak the language, and it took me about a day to get in the groove. But yeah, we were met by an MEF plane that flew us straight, whisked us up as soon as we landed, and flew us to Jeremy, which is right on the very tip of Haiti, on the very western portion. And the challenge in that area is the lack of infrastructure that, to be able to bring relief supplies and just regular supplies over by road. There's a major bridge. I'm going to share a few pictures here. Many of you probably already seen photos and stuff that were posted on our website updates, but just wanted to show you here a minute. The major bridge that connects Jeremy back to Port-au-Prince, you have to cross that bridge, and you can see, a lot of these support structures were broken, and it was structurally unsound. So when I first came there, the first day, we were whipping across with big trucks, and it shook like crazy. Like, it was pretty hectic going across it. It was not safe at all, but we were going across it, and it was day 2 that the police came and blocked it off on both sides, and basically we're not letting any trucks through at all. So that made it really challenging to be able to get anything across. The only way to get supplies in was by airplane. So I pretty quickly helped the Haiti Bible Mission, who we were working with, and UCI set up a bit of a air bridge. I lined up a number of different airplane contacts, pilots that I knew of, and just put the word out that we were working in this area and needed to have the supplies. And that's, after any major disaster, that's probably 9/10 of the amount of work, is just making those right connections. And that was probably, when people ask, why go down, I felt like the biggest assistance I could be was trying to help facilitate those logistics. And it was pretty quickly that we were able to start getting airplanes coming in from the US, Agape flights, getting MEF coming in. There was about 3 other operators, Samaritan's Purse, and a few others that we were able to say, hey, we're over here working in this area, credible organization. We can distribute the materials and supplies, just get them here to us. I wanted to share a short story. I did share it with a few people. I did post it on Facebook, but I just think it's an incredible testimony of God's provision. You have those moments when you're, here at home or when you're overseas, that you're just lost for words of how in the world does this happen? What's the chances of that? And so many of you know, when I lived in Haiti, we had a house help family that lived on our property. Some of you visited me, have met them. Arno and Denise is their names. And we had a family that lived on our property, and they took care of the house, and they worked for us, and we got to know them very, very well, to the point that, they became like family to us. Denise was from Jeremy, from up in the mountains in Jeremy, and that's where all of her family was from. And she would often send money back to her family because she had a job. And she would also sometimes have family come from Jeremy come visit her. So after the earthquake happened a couple weeks ago, she started messaging me and just saying when I had said that I was possibly going down there, she had messaged me and said, she hadn't had any contact with her family and wasn't sure if they were okay. And when I let her know that I was going to be coming in and going to Jeremy, she was pretty excited. And she said, you know what, if you can try to find them or make contact with them. But she said, you're not going to be able to visit them because they're too far away, too far up in the mountains. You're not going to be able to go there and it's not safe for you to go. Foreigners should not be going up there. It's way too dangerous. So she was petrified when I said that I was going to Jeremy and that I was going to be, distributing food and supplies up in the mountains. She said she didn't stop praying for me because she was incredibly scared. So anyway, she gave me a phone number for a family member, her sister, and for her cousin and for her niece. She gave me a phone number for one of her family members that lived up in the mountains, but she couldn't explain to me where it was. She had the name of a nearby village, but you couldn't look it up on Google Maps, and I didn't know where it was. So I tried calling this phone number almost every day that I was there, and it just went straight to voicemail. Like I couldn't get anyone. So I kind of gave up on it after a few days and thought, you know what, I can't get a hold of them. I have no idea where they live. So, I can't do anything about it. The last day that I was in Jeremy, Mark said, you know what, let's go up into this town called Marfrunk. It's about an hour drive up into the mountains, super rough roads, to the point where you need 4x4 pickup trucks to get up into the mountains. So pretty high, steep terrain that you're getting up into. And as we're bouncing out, I'm standing in the back of the pickup truck. We're about 45 minutes into the drive. And as I'm standing in the back of the pickup truck, I get some signal as we come up over a ridge. And I thought, I'll give this guy a call again. Try one more time. I'm leaving back to Haiti or back to Canada tomorrow. So I call, and sure enough, after 2 rings, the guy answers. Woodson is his name. So he answers, and I start talking to him, and I confirm who he is and that he's related to Denise. And sure enough, and I asked, well, where are you located? We're in the area of Jeremy, but it's a big area. And he says, Marfrunk. That's where he lives. So I had no words to say. I was just, what are the chances of that? I'm 10 minutes away from that same town. And, we've got a truck full of relief supplies. So I asked him, I said, well, how's your family doing? He said, all of our homes were destroyed. And he said, all my family's homes, my sister, my cousin, my aunt, uncle, all of our homes were destroyed in the earthquake. And he said, it's been horrible. Nobody's been up here to help yet. And they were desperate for help. So we also had a medical team with us as well. So they had planned to set up a medical clinic there. And that's what they did. So we arrived, and it was weird because I landed in Marfrunk. I jumped out of the pickup truck, and this whole family of people runs up and hugs me and knows my name and asks how my wife is doing and how they name my kids by name. And it was like they knew me. And to them, I was family because Arno and Denise were, family to us and had support. We had supported them. We still support them. So it was pretty cool. I want to show you a few pictures here. So here we're walking up the trail. This is Denise's niece right here that's walking up the trail, and we're bringing up some food and supplies to their homes. You can see the kind of terrain it is going up there in the mountains. Just going to skip ahead here a little bit so you can see. So this is Denise's cousin, and you can see her home here. That was, it's wooden frame, so the structure is still standing, but all the walls collapsed. And so listening to each one of their stories, I went to each one of their homes and talked to them, and they told me over and over again, how thankful they were to God that the earthquake happened in the 8 o'clock in the morning when they had already been outside of the home. This particular lady was inside when the earthquake happened, and she ran out with her granddaughter who's living with her, and the whole house was shaking, and as she got out, the walls started collapsing, and so you can see the home's pretty destroyed there. I just wanted to show you this tent here. And this is kind of the part 2 of my weirdly insane story. So we walked up, and this is Denise's niece who lives in this house. Aunt, Denise's aunt who lives in this house. And her, same thing, all of her walls had come down, just the sticks, the posts were standing. And as I started talking to her, she started telling her story of what happened. And I stopped her and I was like, "You've got a nice looking tent there. Where do you get a tent way up here in the mountains?" She said, "Oh, I've always had it. I've had this tent for years." And I said, "Well, uh, where'd you get the tent from?" And she said, "Well, after the 2010 earthquake," she said, "Denise had sent me this tent." And she's like, "There's many. So this is 2010, 11 years later. She has this tent, and she said, "I always had it in the box and never took it out." And she said, "I always kept it in case something happened." And she said, many times she thought of selling this tent to buy food or to get basic necessities, but she thought, "I'm just going to keep it." And so, talking a little bit more about it, and I recognized this tent right away, came to discover that this is one of the tents that I had given Denise, the family that was living with me at the time. I given to her, and she had sent it out to Jeremy, to one of her family members. And she had the box. I don't know if I took a picture of it. She had the box of it, the brand new box for the tent, and it still had the MEF sticker on it. So it was just weird to see this tent that I had given someone 10 years ago, 11 years ago, that here I am way up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, and this happens to be the same town that now she's got a dry place to sleep in. So pretty remarkable. It was the timing of that is pretty impeccable. So you can see some of the businesses along the streets that were obviously destroyed as you walk through the town. A lot of damage. So it was good to be there, to be able to help out where needed, and to help Mark Stockland and I putting together a bit of a plan of where and how to rebuild some of these communities. There's way more homes to rebuild than he could ever tackle or HFL could ever, but he's taken the approach of helping smaller community by community, and Malfrunk is one of these communities. So it's heartwarming to think that a lot of these families here that I have some little connection to is actually going to get a home. And that's not because I sought them out and went to go find them. It just happened to be that's where they were. So it's pretty awesome. So the last I checked, there was about just under $40,000 actually that's come in, and about half of that has been spent. So just from money that we sent just before I went or while I was there, and money that I went with. So about half of it was spent on emergency supplies. So medicine, I bought thousands of dollars of medicine. Went down to the Jeremy Hospital, and for some of the remote medical clinics that we were doing, they had Haitian personnel, Haitian doctors and staff to do it, but they didn't have the medicine, the antibiotics and stuff they needed. So that was an easy decision, just go buy a whole bunch of medicine and distribute it. Food, the other part of that went to massive amounts of food, and then other supplies, generators for the hospital and stuff. So about half of that was spent on emergency relief, and intentionally, I didn't want to. I could have spent it all when I was there easily, and I kind of resisted that urge because there was other groups helping, and we managed to build a connection with the U.S. military, who was bringing in supplies with their Chinook helicopters, and now they're bringing in about 10,000 pounds a day of food into Jeremy for Mark Stockland, and that's not costing us anything, not costing him anything. So I'm glad we held off with that, because now he's getting free food. And also UCI, who's going to continue working in the area. Their strategy was, let's provide some emergency short-term relief for about 4 weeks after the earthquake, and then 4 to 6 weeks they're going to help start with rebuilding. So I've already been talking to Pastor John, who plans on sending his Haitian construction team, who does all the construction there on the compound. He's sending his Haitian construction team over to Jeremy and Lakai to do some rebuilding as funds permit. And same thing with Mark Stockland with Haiti Mission. They plan on rebuilding homes, and so we helped put together a couple different quotes for everything from a new home to just rebuilding home or fixing up homes that just need repairs. And Mark plans to do a kind of a hybrid. They're having teams from the US come down to help with reconstruction, but they also have a Haitian construction crew that's going to be in charge of that. So yeah, I think the next priority will be, as funds permit, will be rebuilding. Yeah, it's awesome to work with partners that their sole heart and focus is not just emergency relief and getting food to people. The heart behind Haiti Mission, the heart behind UCI, is to reach people for Christ, to bring lost people to know Him, and to use every tool that they need to be able to open those doors. And so like I said, it was neat to be like, even in the hospital there, those doctors, they're treating and they're praying with the patients as they're treating them. And Mark looking at this as an opportunity, not just to rebuild homes, but to get into communities he hasn't been able to get his foot into yet. So helping with food to get his foot in the door, and then moving into helping with rebuilding, and then building long-term relationships in these communities where he's all about discipleship and church planting. So yeah, it's pretty encouraging. I braced myself when I was going there because, they just had the president assassinated just over a month ago. Huge political turmoil over that. And I remember just after that happened, thinking, I'm not going to go to Haiti anytime soon. It's a mess down there. It's like, and the kidnappings have spiked. I remember talking to Will, my wife, and we were saying, like, I don't know when we're going to be able to go back to Haiti, because it's just nuts down there. The kidnappings are higher now than they ever have been. I know multiple people, acquaintances of people, and our field partners have people that have been kidnapped fairly recently. And so the gang activity in certain areas of Port-au-Prince is huge. So I braced myself for the worst. And then I was kind of surprised when I got there. It just felt normal. I speak the language, and I know the people, and you just kind of get in, and I'm like, I don't feel unsafe one bit. Like, I felt, other than when you're doing food distribution, these things like that, but I felt super safe. Having said that, I was also out in the countryside a lot and out in Jeremy. So there was, some of you may have heard on the news, there was multiple instances of relief trucks and relief supplies coming from Port-au-Prince that were getting stopped, and they were being kidnapped, or the supplies were being held ransom. There was 2 ambulances that got stopped full of patients, and they got stopped by gangs, and they weren't letting them through. 2 doctors were kidnapped while I was there in Lakai. So yeah, it's not good, but again, most of that is all towards the capital city on the main road. It's so hard to get anything done or to make any kind of progress when there's so much turmoil. That the political chaos and the uneasiness just affects everything. Affects the food prices, affects everything. So yeah, safety, stability, and then the other thing is we're kind of coming right into a big hurricane season. So we've been hammered so much, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's not going to be more hurricanes. I don't know what it is about Haiti, but they just get the worst card dealt to them every time. 2 days after the earthquake, they got hit by a tropical storm and passed over the same place as the epicenter of the earthquake. So yeah, just praying also for the hurricane season, that they're spared from that. It was, I think somebody like Ange or somebody had said at one point, it's like with COVID and everything, it's like learning how to travel all over again. And for me personally, there was a lot of apprehension going there, not sure how everything's going to go with travel and safety and everything. But to me, it just emphasized, I prayed about it before going, and I had a huge fiasco trying to get tickets and get everything in place on a Sunday morning. And I'm sorry for bugging Ange last second, and Jeremy and everyone else who was involved in trying to help last second in this decision of making it happen. A lot of things fell into place really quickly. I was super fed up. Sunday morning, it was time to go to church, and I couldn't get through to American Airlines, and there was no seats. There's only a couple seats left on the flight, and I couldn't get through. And finally, it was like, you know what, I'm going to go to church because I'm going to sit here on hold. I'm going to miss church. So I shut everything down, and I turned off my phone. I went to church, and the sermon there was very applicable. And I just felt like, you know what, God, if you really are wanting me to go, and you'll make a way for me to go. I just remember walking out of church, getting home, and my phone rang from American Airlines. I had done the callback service. I literally walk in the house, American Airlines calls me back, and they have 1 seat left on the flight, and only 1 flight a day into Port-au-Prince with American Airlines right now. So so I was just like, wow, that's awesome. It's meant to be. And you know what, God will provide all the other details that need to be done. I'm going to do all the planning and prepping I need to, but I just felt, it's been a long time. And then landing in the country, it felt like home when I got back. So it's neat. So yeah, thanks for everyone for your support. A lot of you, I kind of were pushing you on days that you weren't supposed to be working. Ashley going out of her way, doing lots of updates, and Jeremy pulling together a MailChimp update really quickly, and Jessica with social media. And so many of you guys kind of jumped in and helped where you needed to, and it was pretty awesome.
If you were following our social media accounts, you probably got bombarded with some real-time updates from Jason. We launched a Haiti earthquake fund in which you all gave over $40,000 in a week. Wow, that's crazy. So thank you all so much for your immediate response to this. As you heard, Jason was able to provide the medical team with supplies that they needed and provide so many meals for people. There are ongoing funds being sent down for this purpose, and if you still want to give, you can. Go to our website, hungryforlife.org, and it will direct you. Or I will put the links on our social media accounts, which you can follow. It was so encouraging to us as a staff to see the support that came in. So again, we say thank you.